Hey guys, and welcome back to my 2012 Halloween countdown. As my watch list continues each day, I'm going to be showing you the movie that I'll be watching. Today we're going to be talking about something that probably feels a little bit like Halloween to some people, and to others it won't. To me, anything Stephen King feels like Halloween, even when it's a little bit on the science fiction side and not a whole lot of horror. But we're going to be talking about Firestarter. This is the 2-disc set, but today we're only talking about Firestarter 1, and I'd like to say that this is one of those movies that I haven't seen in a long time. I had actually remembered watching this maybe in the mid-90s, and I'd been thinking about it a lot lately, so I found this DVD really cheap, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to watch that when Halloween rolls around. And I really enjoyed it. I don't think this movie gets very much respect, though. I was looking at the average rating on IMDb and a few things like that, and it doesn't put it that high. But the breakdown of the story is you've got Drew Barrymore, very young. This movie set in the mid-1980s. This is one of her earlier films and probably her biggest starring role up to this point. She's coming off of movies like E.T., which she was playing like a secondary character to other children, but in this one, she is the main star. And David Keith plays her father. In this movie, we kind of start off in the middle of the story, and what we get is Drew Barrymore and David Keith's characters on the run. Then as the backstory kind of falls in really early on, we see that David Keith has these abilities to do things with his mind, and you've got these government agents chasing them down. As you find out throughout the opening sequence and some of the flashbacks, that David Keith was actually with Heather Locklear, and those two characters were in the exact same experiment they called Lot 6. And during that experiment, they were given these special abilities, and it was one of those things that was kind of unintentional. Those two people go on to use their abilities together, sort of, as husband and wife, and what you get is a child that has kind of the second generation abilities. By that point, it is pretty obvious that the abilities they were given and the experiment has led them to be viewed as not only a threat but a possible asset for this secret government agency, and that's what kind of leads you up to the opening. Then as you realize that David Keith's abilities were a little bit different than Heather Locklear's and also a little bit different from Drew Barrymore's, her childlike abilities are actually the strongest out of all of them. That is where it kind of gets you into her being a fire starter with the pyrokinesis. I really like this because I think David Keith's kind of an underrated actor. He is probably not known for very many things as, a major lead actor, but this is probably one of his top films. Then also you've got some people that play as the bad guys on this that are great. George C. Scott plays a guy that's very, very interested in the Drew Barrymore character, as well as Martin Sheen's interested in that character, and working together you start to see that they both have their own agenda that's very different from one another. And I don't want to give away too much about that. I'll just say that I think this movie is actually quite fun. Being a Stephen King movie, you start to see that he has used this idea a few times in a few other of his stories. It had mentioned online that the Golden Years used this exact same agency, and the government agency in this is they'll refer to as DSI, and also the Shop. That agency kind of is reminiscent of other ones that he has used without name in some of his stories, but this is quite interesting. If you've never seen it, I'd say it's definitely worth a watch. I don't know how well it holds up over time, but seeing it when I was younger, I really enjoyed it. And then now, watch it when I'm older, it's very reminiscent of an X-Men story. This movie itself is probably not the most typical Halloween movie, but like I say, I think it's great for this time of season if you're into Stephen King, just to have something a little bit different. And so that's my choice for today, is Firestarter. Alrighty, I'm going to go ahead and leave it at that, and we'll switch on over to the bonus segment of this video. Hey guys, what's going on? Well, we just got done watching Firestarter, and that's one of the things that I got to thinking about is I would really like to have something very spicy and very hot to eat to go along with this. And this thing that I'm going to make today is going to be with some really hot salsa, refried beans, and we're going to make some hot and spicy bean dip. This is a comfort food for me that we made when I was a child in my family, and I really enjoy it. I like it a little bit hotter than many people in my family. These are the two main ingredients. I use a salsa called Hell on the Red. This is the hot version of Hell on the Red, which is pretty warm. But I like it because it's a really liquidy, it's not too chunky, so it mixes really well with the bean dip. I like to use a really hot salsa, and then we'll garnish with something a little warm too. Let's go ahead and bring you guys in closer, and we'll go on over to the stovetop and we'll get started on the beans. Okay, we'll go over here to the burner, get this started here. And set that pan down there, just a regular pan. This time that I got the refried beans, I got Taco Bell brand. Any kind of refried beans will work. Okay, I got it in there. I've got this set to a low heat just to get it kind of started. And put that beans down in there like that. And then once you get that in there, and then we're going to pour this in there. I'm pretty generous with the salsa, and this is pretty warm. But the beans kind of mellow it out a little bit. So once you get it like that, start mixing it up. See how it starts to get really kind of thin and runny? That's the reason why I use kind of a thin salsa like this that's really liquidy. Okay, now once you got that all evenly dispersed in there, I'm going to move this up to medium. And it'll only be on there just a few minutes. So you'll see there it's starting to kind of bubble. It doesn't get to a full rolling boil like liquid would. And I'll just leave it on there for now. And what I'm going to do to garnish this is I'm just going to pour it in a serving bowl just like you would set out for you and your friends to eat dip with. But I'll put a little bit of something on it and I'll show you that when we get to it. Okay, here I've got a little clear Pyrex pan, kind of flat, really good for dips. I'm just going to pour that in there like so. Garnish with just a little bit of cheese here. You know, just enough to kind of cover the top layer. Okay, and as you see there, it's starting to melt pretty good. And then just for this last little push to make it really warm, I'm going to add some jalapeno peppers there. So yeah, that should give you a pretty good idea of kind of how I would fix a spicy bean dip. Alright guys, I've got it here with a few chips there on the side, so I can grab one real quick. And let's say for this first one, I'm going to get two little jalapenos there, a little bit of cheese. There it is there. Let's see if we can. Not too bad. Not as warm as I expected, but it's got a little bite to it. Definitely a good dip that you can eat for a long time without feeling like it's just going to be too hot for you. So it's kind of a good combination of the spicy hot. It's got that vinegar taste at the front, which gives you lots of flavor, and then you get that bite at the back end of it. We'll do another one here. My chip broke, of course. I got one jalapeno this time. All right, here we go. I think I got it all over me. Good stuff though. There we go. But yes, I definitely recommend this if you're a fan of kind of spicy foods, and this maybe will kind of motivate you to maybe make this dish. This is definitely something I'm not teaching anybody because you guys have probably all made this before, but I thought it might be interesting for you guys to see what I like. I think it's a good combination for fire starter. Okay guys. Hope you enjoyed the movie, and I hope you enjoyed the snack, and I will see you guys again tomorrow. All right, take care.